Give me a gun that isn't working and I have fun with it. Give me a vacuum that isn't working and it just sucks. Or blows. Blows. Hey guys, welcome back to the Untrained Unprofessional Workbench. I'm Nobody. Hi, how's it going? And we're going to continue with part 4 of building the Cr&p gun. And we're going to jump right into it, so thanks for putting up with me. Now, what we're going to do is, which I'll put some pictures up right here, is we're going to take off the little area right here where the brass goes through. You should be seeing pictures of that, and it's kind of hard to get in there with a file, so we're going to go through and do a different way that I saw, and that is by using a punch to go ahead and put a bevel on those corners. Now after we put those slight little bevels, which we don't need a whole lot, we just need enough to where it's not shaving off the brass off of the case as it's going into the chamber. So we're just going to put a little bit just to kind of dull it, make the transition a little bit smoother, and then we're going to go ahead and take off any of those edges after we've kind of mushroomed everything, just to make sure that there's no sharp corners for anything else to hang up. Okay, and before we move on, I'm going to show you that little shiny spot right there. That is the bevel that we just put in. Okay, so the next area we're going to address is this leading edge right here of the breech face that the disconnector likes to ride down on. See if I can multitask here. So that breech face rides right over this disco here. So we're going to smooth that out, make sure it has a nice transition. Now there is already a little bit of a radius, and it starts really nice and smooth here on the bottom of the slide, and then it kind of tends to stop at about this angle before it rounds over to the 90-degree breech face. So there's a little bit of an edge right there that I'm going to go ahead and take off, so that way we don't give this any excuse to hang up. Okay, so I'm going to try one of these little sanding sticks here. Each one has their own little grit, so really the first time I'm playing with them, so we'll see how these work out. I have high hopes for this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to a smoother, and no, you didn't just see me do that. Alright, so I'm going to go to a smoother grit and just kind of get this all polished, and then I'll bring you back for the next section. Okay, so while I'm here, I'm going to use some 800 grit, and I'm just going to polish up this surface that the disconnector rides on. And then after this, I'm going to do the same thing to the breech face. That way the brass has a nice smooth ride and it doesn't get caught on anything. And if I can, I'm going to figure out how I can actually make sure that I don't have any sharp edges on that firing pin hole, because sometimes if there is a nice 90-degree corner on that firing pin hole, as the brass comes in up at an angle, it can dive in just slightly enough to shave off little pieces. It can cause hang-ups, whatever. Just trying to make this idiot proof. I'm trying to make this better than me so I don't screw it up. Now, in case you're wondering if any of this is necessary, no, probably not. I'm doing it because, one, I want to, and two, I'm trying to learn how to do things better, and by going a little bit above and beyond, I might be able to get better performance out of it. So this is all a learning experience for me. If you're new to the channel, you should know that I am not a subject matter expert in this field. I'm a guy that's figuring it out, probably like you are. Or ladies, I'm not ignoring you. But sometimes you gotta try different things and see how it works. If you're not learning, you're not moving forward in life. You gotta continuously learn, push the boundaries, and test yourself. Alright, so we got a nice smooth surface. That edge is taken care of, feels really good. I think it's time to move on. You're still watching the video. That means I'm doing something that you like. Now, you can help me out and do something I like, and that is to give me a like. A like helps me. Now, if you also want to subscribe, share, all that kind of wonderful stuff, I'm not going to stop you. But if you could, give me one of these. Now that you gave me one of these, I should go back to doing what you like. It's only fair. Fair. Alright, so next step is I wanted to dehorn the firing pin hole. Now, there's a special tool that you can get, which is basically a long drill bit that allows you to come through. It has a nice little handle, and you can just take that sharp edge off of, just like that. You take the sharp edge off. But with a regular drill bit, it's kind of hard. You can't get in there, you can't get it at the right angle to torque it or anything. And then I realized that I'm going to have to think outside of the box. So what I did is I just got an extension in one of my impact drill bits, and it works just perfect for coming down and allows me to trim that sharp edge off. And you don't need to do a whole lot. You'll notice that with a little bit of pressure and a couple of turns, you'll take that 90-degree corner right off. And that's all I'm doing. Other than I am going to make sure I don't have any sharp edges or burrs sticking up on the face. Okay, feels nice and smooth. Let's go next step. So I just ran into something kind of interesting. I was using the old firing pin just to check to make sure that when I deburred the front of the firing pin hole, that I didn't cause any issues with the firing pin protruding through. So I want to make sure that it was going to clear just fine. Well, you just saw me with a little bit of 800 grit, and I was just kind of polishing up the firing pin on where it rides on the inside of the firing pin channel, because when I was putting it in, the thing felt like it was catching and just riding on like a very rough surface. So I got a feeling I'm going to have to polish the inside of the firing pin channel just to make sure that it's smooth, because that could have been or is part of the problem with the light primer strikes. So, but I'm having a hard time getting this to want to go in. I did it once already, and it would protrude out the firing pin hole. But man, it's just really, really stubborn. Yep, there we go. It just feels really gritty. Even when I turn it around and run it in. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it just feels like it wants to catch. Okay. Polishing the firing pin hole, or the firing pin channel. Alright guys, so I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to work on the firing pin channel, and what I came up with is actually using a 7/32 drill bit, and it fits pretty tight, and there was just a little bit of crustiness in there that I was able to kind of work out, and the sides of the bit were able to just kind of help clean and knock out whatever was causing the firing pin to hang up on. So now I'm going to go ahead and chuck up a Q-tip and use some flits, and I'm going to polish the inside, and then we're going to move on. Lube is good. Chucked up. And is this a perfect solution? No, it's not. Does it get us to where we want to go? Gets us pretty darn close. So I used this on the 5-inch Prodigy and it worked pretty good. I wish I had a better tool, but this is what I have. So sometimes you just got to deal with what you have. And as you can see, I am getting material, because that used to be that kind of whitish, bluish, kind of grayish, kind of whatever color it was, and now you're getting some change of color. I wish it was a little bit longer. Alright, I'm losing integrity on that one. Gonna have to do this a couple more times until I'm happy with it. Can I tell you what happy is? No. At some point you just got to figure out a place to stop. Alright, so the firing pin channel is taken care of. It's moving freely. Now going to deal with my favorite little thing, and this is just because this really bugs me, is I hate using these tiny little Allens because they end up getting stripped out. I'm going to go ahead and just cut a notch across on both sides. That way I can use a flathead whenever I want to, and I'm not required to have a small little Allen, actually 2 small Allens. I just need 2 flatheads, and I don't have to worry about running the risk of rounding out these small little guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and get set up for that. Whether you do that or not, that is completely up to you. I just do it because I want to. It makes me happy. Be happy. Alright guys, so I have it chucked up here in the vise, and I'm just going to take my Dremel and just cut a line through it, just big enough for a small flathead to work. Now if you don't have a Dremel with a little small cutting wheel, you can use a hacksaw for this. Takes a little bit more time than I want to play with, so I am going to use the Dremel. Now I do recommend that you wear iPro when doing this, because these little cutting wheels can explode. So be careful. So obviously using an abrasive wheel, things start getting hot. Well, it got hot enough that it was, woo, hot. Imagine that, I just said it was hot and I burned myself. Weird. Got hot enough to where it was melting the plastic. Alright, let's try this little guy again. Gonna crank it up a little bit. And just deep enough to work. Perfect. too blurry. There we go. Autofocus. So as you can see, I went about the depth of that screw head, so that way I have enough depth to play with my Phillips. Or not my Phillips, this flathead. Okay, just do the other side. I won't make you watch that part. And just like that, look at that, it's lots of stuff had fallen out of it already. If you're wondering how I took this apart, you'll want to watch my disassembly video on the 5-inch. It's the same on the 4 1/4, so pretty simple. So now I'm working on the disconnector and how it functions in the frame. Now, this disconnector that has been in it is the EGW that I put in a while ago. I started playing around, figuring out, you know, it's like how easy was the EGW stuff to install and if I was going to need to do any fitting or anything. So I just started swapping out the ignition parts, and next thing I know, it's put together, and I was like, hey, you know what, that was way too simple. So, but one of the things that I want to make sure that I do is that there's no burrs or anything inside of the disconnector hole. And I had felt a little bit of a hang up, and it could just be a slightly rough machining mark, but that has since gone away since I started working this bit back and forth. Now this is a 5/32, not an exact fit, but an 11/64 is too big. So the 5/32 is what we're going excuse me, is what I'm going to use. So, and just by running it back and forth, I can feel and also take care of any sharp areas. Now it goes in really nice and smooth, perfect. So I think we are golden there. Next little step, I am just going to run some sandpaper around the little donut on the EGW just to make sure it's nice and smooth, and you can probably see the nice little ring that is there. And then even though this has some wear on it from operating in the slide or in the frame, I am going to just do some slight little deburring because I never did it the first time, and the wood surface is not perfect. My kingdom for a firm surface. Wow, totally unprepared. Good job, nobody. And rotate it around, get the other side. And if you have any sharp corners, just take them off. Next step is I'm going to make sure that my mag release is functioning optimally. I'm going to do that by taking a magazine, inserting, and then I'm going to press as hard as I possibly can to make sure that on the inside it's not coming through the opposite side and pinning the magazine against the grip. So insert, push down as hard as you can, and it should fall right out. Okay, so that's nice. Because of my 5-inch, I had to work on the magazine release to get it to work. But this, perfect. Okay, so now we just need to pop out the mag release, and now we can take out the trigger. Doesn't necessarily want to flow freely. A little bit of catch, so gonna have to do a little bit of work on the frame and where the bow goes back and forth. So I think clean it up, take care of any grease that's in that track. So I can see where the trigger bow has been sliding back and forth. So on the little metal insert that's molded into the grip, I can see some high spots where it's been rubbing. So we're gonna kind of take down those high spots. Looks like high spots on the right side goes all the way across, and on the left side the high spot is just on this outside edge and on the inside edge, and nothing in the center. Okay, so what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a needle file that has safe edges, so that way I'm not cutting into the frame. And then after that, I bought this little Arkansas stone set from Brownells, and this guy is just the right width to fit into the track. So I didn't know that was going to be the case. Dumb luck works. I swear by it. Checking my progress. Oh yeah, that's looking a lot better. They suggest using honing oil, but you know what? I don't have any honing oil. How about a little bit of gun oil? It's probably a dumb move, but it's okay. Just polishing up the surface. Okay, that feels pretty good. How's this side? Might need to work this side just a little bit more. The smoother I get this, the nicer my trigger pull should be. Or at least it'll feel less gritty. If there's any grit, it'll just glide. It'll feel stupendous. Oh yeah. Yeah, so much better. Alright. Is this a step that you need to do? No. Is it a step you should do? If you got the time and the inclination, definitely do so. Because one thing that I have figured out about the whole 1911-2011 game is that every little thing that you do to the platform, it incrementally increases the feel and the reliability of it. And you know what? I like doing it. Okay, guys. I think that is where we're going to stop for today. And next time, we're going to start installing new parts and fitting them up and making this a beautiful thing. So, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. And can't wait to see you next time.